Real Housewives of Potomac, episode 9. So we start back off with everybody asking Mia what does she mean by the fathers of her children, because everybody thinks that all of her children belong to Gordon. And Mia and Gordon have both basically been acting like Ink just thinks that Jeremiah is his, but there's no way that that's the truth. But basically, that was just a ploy to get us to come back this week, child. Apparently, when Mia wrote the whole children's fathers thing on Instagram, she was saying how she has 3 kids. 2 of them are by Gordon, and her oldest kid is from a previous marriage to someone else. And I guess she was saying that all 3 of them are able to get along, Ink, Gordon, and her other child's father. Like, don't play with me, Bravo. So Jacqueline basically told everybody that Gordon will act like he's okay with Ink for a few minutes, but then most of the other time, he's basically saying he has an issue. So they were all like, Jacqueline basically just confirmed that you're putting up a facade, saying that they get along and acting like y'all just coexisting so peacefully when y'all really not. So Mia was like, I can't believe Giselle is making this birthday party about shade and nitpicking. You do that at events all the time. You just mad that this time you're not the person being messy and somebody's being messy towards you. So Wendy said she was getting a citation from the governor, and everybody was like, girl, what do you mean? Like, a citation is negative. But I guess she meant to say a proclamation. So basically, the governor is here to speak at Wendy's birthday party. And we kind of heard Mia going off on Jacqueline on the side, basically saying, you never have my back. So apparently the governor couldn't make it, but she did have a senior White House correspondent there. So, and the ladies was kind of clowning Wendy because she was the one saying she was getting a citation. And they was like, girl, you always saying you got 4 degrees. So Stacey and Ashley were talking a little bit about how they both have mediation coming up this week for their divorces. So Ashley basically told Giselle and Karen that they had given her such great advice, so she wanted them to talk to Stacey as well. So Giselle, Karen, and Ashley sit Stacey down, and she's basically like, you know, me and my husband said 20 years ago when we got married that we would never be those people fighting over money if we got a divorce, and that we would keep it amicable. So that's the mindset that I'm going into it with. But Giselle and Karen were kind of rolling their eyes and stuff because they feel like it's probably not going to go that way. And they're here to warn Stacey. And Stacey basically said, you know, I feel like I know the person I married. And Giselle was like, yeah, but you don't know him in this space. And Karen was like, on top of that, you told us that you and him grew apart tremendously. And that's why you're getting a divorce in the first place. If you and someone grew apart, you really don't know them at this point. So Stacey was like, you know, I welcome the advice and it is making me think, but I feel like me and my husband are in an amicable space. I mean, at the end of the day, they are still living together. So she's still going to go into it with a positive mindset. So we finally got to see Wendy introduce her kids to Eddie's sisters. So at least they got to formally meet their aunts, even though they haven't met their grandparents yet. And Wendy and one of his sisters had a moment. They broke down crying and hugging each other. So it's nice to see they really on the way up. They just got to deal with them parents. But sometimes you got to just let older people be who they are because they stuck in their ways. So we saw Giselle sitting down with her daughter, Grace. And she said how Grace has done her first year of college and she did great. And she was asking Grace, how does she think Adore and Angel are going to do because they're splitting up. And you know, they're twins, but they're going to different colleges. And Grace was like, honestly, I feel like Adore is going to have a breakdown by week 2 because she relies on Angel for everything. So she was basically telling Giselle to keep an eye out for that. And Giselle is just feeling a great sense of loss. You know, her dad passed away and then now all 3 of her kids are leaving to go to college. And one thing I will give Jamal is that it seems like he's always there for Giselle when it really counts, despite the fact that he clearly wasn't faithful in their marriage. She said that when she did find out that her dad passed away and she was going to book a flight, she couldn't even type. And she was telling Grace how Angel and Adore really stepped up and called Jamal and was like, my mom needs a ticket. She's struggling. My grandfather passed away. You know, we need help. And he told them to just go to the airport. And when they got to the airport, they would have a ticket. And they did. So I do like that. He always comes through for Giselle when it really counts. And it seems like he's always there for his daughters at least the big events. So Ashley said right now her main concern about the mediation is them splitting time between the kids. She says that right now she has the kids 7 days a week and Michael will just take them for a weekend, like, you know, randomly, I guess. It's not every weekend. She generally has them 7 days a week. But she's like, after we do mediation, it might be a situation where I'm not seeing my kids for weeks. So Kay and her boyfriend Greg are kind of starting to clash. You know, she works for him unofficially. And he's not really valuing the work that she's putting into his company. And then if she does officially become an employee, he's going to be like bossing her around. But she's like, right now, because he's the provider, he expects dinner every night. She feels like that's so 1960s. So it seems like they're kind of starting to have a little bit of issues. Her and Greg talked a little bit about her personal injury lawsuit that she has against Deborah for hitting her with the glass last season. And she said that did put a bit of a strain on her and Greg's relationship because he really didn't want her to do the show after that or be around this group. So the ladies are meeting up at a restaurant, Giselle, Wendy, Karen, Ashley, etc. And Giselle asked the waitress for a charcuterie board. The charcuterie board sent me. Even the waitress was cackling. So Stacy's here as well. So obviously they're about to get into Stacy and Ashley's mediations. So Stacy starts out by saying, let me just tell you guys, me and my husband had a very old school marriage where he controlled all of the finances. I haven't paid a bill in like 15 years. And basically there was a lot of stuff that she didn't know. So she basically said there was accounts that she didn't know about. There was things in her name that she was unaware of. And Wendy was like, I feel what you're saying because I don't know how to pay my own mortgage or my own bills either because I've never done it because she's been with Eddie for so long. And Ashley said that she was in the same situation with Michael. So she was like, it's definitely a learning experience. And Wendy was like, yeah, I'm not even going through a divorce, but now I feel like I need to learn more about what's going on with my bills. Who does my mortgage get paid to? Who's my light company? Because I don't know anything. It was also interesting to hear how mediations could be handled differently. Stacy basically said that hers will be multiple days. They didn't iron everything out in one day. They'll come back for another session. Where Ashley's lawyer basically told her, we're going to get this all done in one day. So the mediation might start at 10 a.m. and it could go to 1 a.m. It just depends on how easy it is for us to get to something that you both are willing to agree to. So Ashley said that her and Michael did not make eye contact at their mediation. They did not reach an agreement because Michael wants to put a confidentiality clause on Ashley as a part of their divorce agreement, where basically she'll never be able to speak on certain things that happen in their relationship regarding him. She said they did make a custody agreement where he will get 10 days a month, but that's basically the only issue that they were able to iron out, even though they were there trying to mediate for 9 hours. And she said Michael's main concern in the confidentiality clause was basically her telling her story on the show. He doesn't want her to be able to talk about him or the divorce at all on the show, even if that means she wants to say that he had infidelity, any money issues, any cheating, anything that he can consider disparaging. So she said they're not going back to mediation, so she now can either file a public complaint, which would mean putting all her business out there, or the lawyers can try to come to an agreement on their own without Ashley and Michael being present. Karen said, well, if he wants silence, I smell alimony for Ashley. Ching, ching, ching. Get that money, sis. So we see Karen go out to eat with her daughter, and her daughter's clocking shit. She said, any of these girls you around, if they're not concerned about your health and wellness first, then they're not your friends. All these people trying to be messy about your case and stuff, not your friends. So Mia took Jacqueline to this place for like a makeover. She said Jacqueline grew up on a farm. She's not a fashionista. It doesn't come natural to her. And she said actually Giselle and Jacqueline should be best friends because of that. And then they showed a slideshow of all of Giselle's fashion fails over the years. Y'all know how she get down. So Mia was kind of trying to judge Jacqueline because she's still taking back her parental partner or her ex who's put her through so much stuff. And Mia was like, you've given him 13 years. And Jacqueline was like, yeah, there's a lot of hurt, but we're rebuilding our friendship first. And you shouldn't really have nothing to say because you've given Ink a lot of time too. He's been around in the picture for a long time as well. And she was like, Giselle pissed her off at Wendy's party. She feels like Giselle is obsessed with her social media because why was she worried about what Mia posted about Gordon and Ink? Well, why did you come to them at the last event trying to make it all about you, telling them about everything that was going on with you, Ink, and Gordon, and how Ink said he would remove himself and how Gordon is going through mania? You came running your mouth. So Giselle probably wanted to see, let me get an update. So Mia's playing the victim, talking about it's disheartening how Giselle is always trying to come for her as a mother and bring up her kids and, the situation with Ink and Gordon. And if you're really my friend, you can pick up the phone or come to my house and check on me or tell me how you feel. It's funny because you didn't give Karen that same grace. You keep talking about Karen's case and her charges and her DUIs and her supposed alcoholism to anybody who will listen to you instead of actually coming to her with genuine care and concern and without being shady and messy. Like Mia loves to do messy stuff, but she can't take it. Jacqueline just talking too much again, exposing Mia to the camera, talking about, oh, Giselle just mad. She don't got one man and you got like 3 or 4. So Ashley's attending this event for homelessness. It's like doing activities to raise money and stuff. But long story short, she invited the girls and everybody's always down for a charity event. So Giselle and Karen came, Wendy came with the kids, and Stacy came with her daughter. So Mia came and she hugged everybody and she told Giselle, I'm going to hug you for now, but I got words for you later. So Giselle is like, what is she talking about? And she was basically saying Mia got bigger fish to fry with Ink and Gordon. So one of the crazy activities that Ashley's doing for the charity is hanging over the edge of a building. So all of the ladies are watching because it's Ashley's turn to go. And y'all know Ashley is very adventurous. She literally said that her and Michael's second date was skydiving. So Ashley was nervous climbing down the side of that building, child. Karen was nervous too. She was on her knees praying for Ashley. But Ashley made it down safely. And Ashley said that for her, taking that leap of faith off of the edge of the building represented her finally being able to take the leap of faith in going through the process of finalizing the divorce. So Mia came to sit down with Giselle and was throwing shade. She was like, "Oh, I like this nightgown you have on. It's very bedroom nightgown." And Giselle was like, "Yeah, well, it's colorful, and I wanted Ashley to see me because she was way up there, and she said everybody looked like ants from up there where she was." So Mia was like, "I came to you at the GNA event with all of that personal information, and then at Wendy's event, you were questioning me about what I put on social media." And she was like, "Don't you put all of your positive stuff on social media? Like, isn't social media a highlight reel? You only gonna basically show the happy moments and as if your life is perfect, your kids are perfect, and everything is perfect." And Giselle was like, "Well, I don't say my kids are perfect." And Mia was like, "My whole thing is you can come to me personally. Don't bring it to the whole group. Did I bring it to the whole group that your girls were sneaking guys in the DR?" And Giselle was like, "They didn't do that." And Mia was like, "Yes, they did. When we were in the DR, you caught your girl sneaking boys in the back of the house." And Giselle was like, "Yeah, I did catch a boy on the ring cam and I told Mia about it." And Mia was like, "I didn't run and go and tell because that's your business. But like I said, you post on social media like they're so perfect and everything is so perfect." And Giselle in her confessional was like, "What she's not going to do is lash out on me and my daughters." And I agree, because what are you really trying to do bringing this up? Mia has willingly brought information about Ink and Gordon to the group, to the show. She has made them characters and cast on the show, and they're a part of her storyline. So if anybody in the group wants to ask about that, I feel like they can. Giselle has never brought anything about her kids doing anything with boys onto the show. So no, that shouldn't be brought up right now. You shouldn't be bringing up 17, 18, 19-year-old girls and what they're doing. Because Lord knows what you were doing at that age, Mia, was much worse. And Karen was like, children are off limits. And both Karen and Giselle were like, Mia's losing her mind. And these two men and this circus that she has going on is really going to her head. And Mia was like, I'm just always here to remind you and call you on your shit. And in her confessional, she was like, at least I'm keeping it real over here, no matter how messy my situation is. I just feel like Giselle is always pointing fingers, but she's not even living in her authentic truth. And Giselle was like, I'm just taking it all in, because after it's all in, I will react. And the episode ends there. I definitely think Giselle is going to simmer on that, and she's going to really go off on Mia, because like Karen said, children are off limits, and you shouldn't have been bringing up those girls because they're just turning 18 and 19 now, which means that whatever you're talking about when y'all went to the DR, which must have been last season or before that, they were underaged. So it's out of line, period. Oh my God, at the end, they put rest in peace Matthew Byers, 1987 to 2024. If you've been watching the show for a long time, you know that white guy that Karen always used to have with her. And she used to say that was her friend and everybody used to be laughing about it. He passed away, y'all. And he was only 37. I wonder what happened. Okay, y'all. So this is the guy I'm talking about, Matthew Byers, Karen's friend. So I looked it up and it said he passed away from multiple blunt force trauma injuries. And it says that his death was ruled as a self-termination. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. So rest in peace to him. So when this episode ended, they gave us like a mid-season trailer to show us what's left to come of the season. I don't know why I'm seeing Ashley and Jacqueline kissing. They asked Ray, was Karen dominant or submissive? He said Karen used to tear him up. Like I expected, Kay and her boyfriend are getting into it. The girls are still clowning Stacey about TJ. Giselle is apparently going through some issues with her father's will and estate. And she's saying she's trying to get the will thrown out. I'm assuming it's probably like an ex-wife or something that her father had. And now Giselle's not able to get access to the money or whatever she was supposed to be left. We see Stacey eventually asking TJ would he stay with her if she saw other people. Seems like the girls might be getting into Stacey's head, telling her that she needs to get some D. Seems like Ink is finally putting his foot down and telling Mia that she needs to put up some boundaries with Gordon. Wendy gets invited to the White House and she brings Karen along, but then we see Stacey saying how Karen said Wendy was self-absorbed and should never be trusted. And then we see Jacqueline come to Karen's house with 8 balloons and said these are for the 8 citations. And Karen tells Jacqueline to get off her property right now. Giselle and Mia do really end up getting into it, and the girls kind of give Mia an intervention. Mia's like, F all of y'all, Giselle said you're a horrible mother. And then they're at some party and there's literally shit everywhere. Like poop. And everybody's running around and throwing up and stuff, child. So all of that's to come for the rest of this season. And I will see y'all next week for episode 10 of Real Housewives of Potomac. Bye.